My name is Ashley Olafsen. I am 18 years old, and we are in the midst of a crisis. At age 18, I already have 5 friends who have been raped, 4 friends who have been in abusive relationships, and 2 friends who have been molested. Unfortunately, my friends and I aren't alone. To begin with, 1 in 5 girls and 1 in 20 boys are the victims of child sexual abuse. And from there, things only get worse. The rate of sexual assault in the United States is the highest of any industrialized nation in the world. 1 out of every 6 American women will be the victim of an attempted or completed rape in her lifetime. And abuse rates aren't much better. 1 out of every 10 high school students has been purposely hit or slapped by their boyfriend or girlfriend. And physical abuse isn't the only kind. 1 in 3 adolescent girls in the U.S. is a victim of not just physical, but also sexual, emotional, or verbal abuse from a dating partner. Scarily, the United States has the highest rates of teen pregnancy out of any industrialized nation, making this problem having something uniquely to do with the way that we teach sex education. Clearly, something isn't working. Yet despite the enormously personal impact that negative sexual behavior is having on our country, we rarely talk about sex in a meaningful way, or more importantly, what a healthy relationship even looks like. The blunt reality is that there are a lot of parents who aren't giving their kids information about sex. 17 Magazine and the Henry J. Kaiser Family Foundation discovered that only 56% of teenagers have discussed STDs with their parents, meaning that half of our teenagers may be completely uneducated about the consequences of engaging in sexual behaviors. And quite frankly, schools aren't doing much of a better job. In fact, only 22 states and the District of Columbia mandate sex education. Out of 50 states! And of those, only 19 require that the information be medically accurate. So if parents and schools aren't talking about sex, then how are we learning our sex education? Well, duh. The media. Here is a message to parents, our school systems, our government, and to you. Today, the harsh reality is that kids are learning about sex, whether you want us to or not. The number one place that boys get their sex education today is from pornography. Staggeringly, 51% of boys have viewed pornography before the age of 13, which makes sense given that the average age of exposure is age 12. And it's not just boys, it's girls too. And even if we're not being exposed to pornography directly, we still live in an incredibly sex-saturated culture that is feeding us messages about what sex means at increasingly young ages. And we're learning a lot more than just what sex is. We're learning what sexy means, what relationships look like, and what behaviors are accepted and tolerated versus what behaviors aren't. Another huge problem with how the media talks about sex education is that it almost completely neglects the consequences, which is a huge issue because 1 out of every 4 teenagers contracts an STI every year, and 1 out of every 3 females will become pregnant by the age of 20. Throw horny and unaware teenagers into that extremely messy mix of contradictions, and you have a huge problem. But perhaps the largest problem and issue with the way that we currently talk about sex education is that we almost completely neglect to talk about communication, something that is absolutely crucial and imperative to having a healthy relationship. The bottom line is this. If we don't talk about sex education in the classroom or at home, teenagers are going to be receiving their sex education from pornography or the media. It's just that simple. Please, I urge you to consider supporting a comprehensive sex education program that teaches what sex is, the consequences of sex, and how to make smart and healthy sexual decisions that are right for you. I know that some people may be against sex education programs because they believe that it will encourage us to have sex. As an 18-year-old, I respectfully disagree. Believe me, our culture is what is already encouraging us to have sex. Sex education programs are only going to counter what our culture is already telling us to do. We start learning about the negative effects of smoking cigarettes in elementary school, and no one says that that will encourage us to smoke cigarettes. So why do we say that about sex? And look, I know that the simple solution to all of this is to just tell teenagers not to engage in sexual activities. I know that that's the simple solution, but realistically, after what we're showing teenagers in the media, we can't just expect them not to have sex when what they're seeing in the media is so completely contradictory. Realistically, 50% of teenagers have had sex by age 17. That's just how it is. It's foolish and dangerous and irresponsible not to talk about sex in class. And that all being stated, just because I am pro-sex education does not mean that I am anti-abstinence. In fact, I think that abstinence should be a part of comprehensive sex education programs, as long as it's partnered with how to say no and here's what a healthy relationship looks like versus an unhealthy relationship. Finally, we know that sex education works. Just look it up. I urge you to support a comprehensive sex education program because media cannot be our only form of sex education. Thanks so much for watching. This is my first ever video and I'm really excited about it. Please like it, share it on Facebook, make sure to subscribe to me, and seriously leave video comments and ideas down in the comments. I would love to maybe tackle an Ask Ashley video, some kind of advice video, or something else next, so let me know what you want to see. Thanks so much for watching.